Tip number one, why your shoulders aren't growing, is because you're working out in the wrong order. Like that? Yeah? Good! What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Reggie B. Today I'm gonna go over a few tips and tricks on how to fix the mistakes that a lot of guys and females do when trying to build shoulders. There's a lot of reasons why your shoulders aren't growing the way you want to, because there's a few things that you're not focusing on or you're just not doing. You see, time and time again, guys are more focused on the pressing when you should be focused on each individual head at its best. Don't just focus on just the pressing and think it's going to build up all heads. That's not how you're going to build your shoulder. The shoulder is broken down in 3 heads: the front, the lateral, and the rear. That's the only way you're going to build them, is when you focus on them in particular. So I'm going to go over the few reasons why your shoulders aren't growing. Tip number one, you're working out in the wrong order. Meaning, you're working out from front to back rather than back to front. A lot of times when you see people when they're working out in the gym, their main routine is front delt, the lateral delt, and then the rear. You want to do the opposite, from the rear, the lateral to the front, so you're 100% when you're hitting the rears, and you're not half-assing that movement towards the end of your workout. Like if you're doing legs, you leave calves at the end and you're half-assing, you're not 100%. You want to put 100% in the movement that a lot of people lack doing. You want to cap that nice rear delt. Switch the order from rear to front. Tip number two, why your shoulders aren't growing. Time and time again, you hear people complaining why they don't have that nice wide shoulder look. It's because you're not focusing more on the lateral head. You see people that it's like, oh, I want nice wide shoulders, but they're focused more on presses. The press is going to put mass on you, it's going to give you a nice solid look. But if you're looking for a wider look, which is that head right over here, which is the lateral head, you have to focus on that in particular head. Tip number three, when you're hitting shoulders and you're trying to put on nice size, focus on your form. People are more focused on just hitting heavy weight. No, focus on the form, especially if you're doing presses. Keep your form nice and tight, core engaged, mind muscle control on every single rep. You see guys that are lean back and they're pushing with wet. No, you're not trying to do that. Especially if you're trying to put on some size. You should be focusing on the heads more than anything and have that mind muscle control rather than straight reps, straight weight, and bullshit form. Tip number four, when you're doing rear delts and hitting the back part of the shoulder, there's a way that you should be focusing on that movement. You see guys, when they're doing it, they're more focused on just completely having it straight and they're engaging that muscle. For me, what I feel more of the contraction, turn your wrist a little inward because you're flaring out that part of the head. I'm telling you, it's just a feeling that you're gonna feel. It's totally different when you're doing the movement. Just that little wrist flick is definitely gonna have you focus on that rear part of the delt. Tip number five, why your shoulders aren't growing. When focusing on building shoulders, especially the lateral head, try using a plate rather than just a straight dumbbell. Dumbbells are good, but I can guarantee when you're using the plate, it's a different movement and contraction that's going to be on that muscle because the gravity, you're not having too much comfortability of gripping the plate. It's going to focus on that lateral head like no other. Another thing when doing lateral raises is hunch forward a little bit. I felt that when I'm too upright, my front part of the delt is being hit, and you don't want that while you're just focusing on that head at the shoulder. You just want the lateral head to be hit at all times. So you should focus a little bit on hunching a little forward, full mind muscle control, shoulder width, and right before touching your thigh because you want contraction on the muscle at all times. Tip number 6, don't focus so much on the front part of the delt. Yes, it's a main movement that you should have that contraction on when you're doing shoulders, but a lot of movements stimulate that muscle anyway. People take too much time of focusing on just the front part, on the presses, on the front raises. When you're hitting shoulders, you should be focused more on the lateral and the rear. Get those heads on point first, and everything else is gonna come into place because of all the stimulant from all the other exercises on the front. The front has movement and contraction on every pretty much workout that you're going to do in the gym anyway. That's pretty much the easiest head to grow. The lateral and the rear, a lot of people lack that. So you should be focused more on those when hitting shoulders. Alright guys, hope this video helped. The main focus on building shoulders is to focus on all three heads of the shoulder. But master the tips that I've just told you, because there's a lot of mistakes that you see time and time again that people are making, and they're not focused, or they're more focused on other things when you shouldn't be. So hit that notification button so you know when my next video comes out. It's your boy Reggie B. Like my video, subscribe to my video so your boy can be back. And if you do that, I'm real proud of you. Metamorphosis complete.